Hello.
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 Hi everyone. I'll wait for Beef to join. One of the Coleys. I haven't seen anything from him saying that he won't be joining this week. Maybe we can do introductions for any new faces. Oh, hello, Steve.
Hey, sorry I'm a bit late.
Good. Yeah, I don't know if we want to do intros for new members. I see we've got some familiar faces, but also some names that I don't recognise as much. Maybe, I guess, quickly to give a summary of the last call for anyone that missed it.
Yeah, a summary would be good. I missed the last call, so
Sorry, I think I dropped out there. At least it crashed on my computer. But yeah, there weren't really any suggestions for other standards to mention, basically beyond the four that we mention at the moment. But if anyone does have suggestions, then they'd be welcome. I can share the link to the white paper if people want to re-review the section. And then there's also a conversation last week uh, about a sort of internal review within the group. We had a few volunteers for that, but I think we're not yet at the stage, Stephen, where we're going to be looking for like an intensive review. It's still work in progress, right?
I've done quite a bit of work over the last 2 weeks on it. So it's basically there now. There's maybe one or two diagrams that it could do with. Um, and some smartening up of the prose that I'm working through, but I think by and large the content is all there. Um, I think every section now has a decent amount of content. I'm just going through it now, so we need to work on references and tidying that up. There's a conclusion in place now. It's mostly just the front matter, so authors and executive summary, and going through and getting the definitions and abbreviations and that kind of stuff. But I think for me, the content is basically there.
Oh, nice.
Um, it's turned into a bit of a large document. It's 35 pages, which isn't great, but I guess there's a lot to say, so it is what it is.
Stéphane, Mathieu, Jean-Marc speaking.
That
First of all, I apologize because I was not able to attend the previous call. So I started to rework on the document yesterday, and actually I would like to do some addition on a specific topic we are working on actually. So it's quite new, but it definitely makes sense, especially for AI factories around system engineering. So it could be because so system level view is also a view of the virtual twin of the digital twin of the data center. So it could make sense to add some sentence in some chapters. So the idea is not to change to change everything, but maybe to do some addition in the current draft in order to reflect this the capability of system engineering to really to work at the architecture level of a factory.
sounds reasonable. What do you mean exactly by system level view?
System level view is a kind of architecture view taking into account the different disciplines, and it's a kind of language, standard language based on SysML. It allows to describe a complete system and all the different subsystems, and to validate early in the design process the coherency of the architecture, even in some cases to do 1D simulation in order to validate the dimensioning of the systems, and to ensure traceability until the physical design. It's a way also to validate the specification early in the process.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
go on,
what?
Steve.
No, I was gonna say, would that go in the planning kind of design use case
Yeah,
section?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
So I already started to look where to position this. So when we talk about design, they're going to be. I will propose to do some insertion. When we talk about standards, the same. So SysML is an international ISO standard.
Yeah.
So I will do some addition like this one across the draft.
Okay. When do you think you can do that? Because
I
I'm
can.
quite aware that this this document has taken a long time to
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
for to do, and it kind of like to get it out this year at least.
So I can try. I think that before the end of this week at least, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the day after tomorrow, Thursday.
Okay, okay, that would be good. Yeah, thank you. So, Matthew, you talked about an internal review process. Do you want to do that at the end of the week, or
Yeah,
do you
we could
want to,
kick that off.
or do you want to kick it, or do you want to just kick it off with the submission to the higher group, the facilities project?
Well, I think when we when we've talked previously about it, there was discussion of like having group members do a provisional review before it goes out to the facility group. Um, but I mean, I'm open to pushing it straight out. Um, I guess we probably need a couple of those on it, I guess. I don't know. I was just running with previous conversations, if you see what I mean. If we want to try and streamline it to hit a particular like data center facility group meeting to get it approved, then I guess we could cut our cloth accordingly. But there are a few people who said that they'd be willing to put their names forward for joining a, sort of a review from within the group before it goes out to the facilities sort of lot as a formal submission. Um,
Okay.
but equally, as you said, at this point, I don't want to delay things by um, forcing it, if you see what I mean. Um, and it's got the sort of checks and balances in place from facility group. So
Well, I think it would probably be worth getting some input from this group before we submit it, or at least before it officially goes to them. I'm not 100% clear on the timelines or the process on the submission. I think there's a web form that we fill in to let them know that we've got something for them to look at. And I believe there's some kind of presentation that has to happen in a call to them.
mm.
And then there's like a couple of weeks of review from them. That's my understanding of the process. It might be wrong though. Um, so
Russ, is that something that you can shed any light on? Just so
Yeah, that's
Russ
roughly
for
accurate. There's a contribution hub. You can find it from the contribution, uh, click on the web page. There's a little bit more to the flow. But yeah, it's you submit, essentially you submit, it gets reviewed. You actually have to have this work group or this project review before it gets, you have to attest that this project has reviewed the contribution before it goes further. Then it goes to steering committee, like you said, with a presentation. And then there's a full review process. And you said, a couple weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ish. Alicia tells me the full path is like 3 months.
oh wow,
So
okay.
if you think it's a quick, hey, pop it in and 2 weeks later you're done. No, it's not that straightforward.
Right, okay. So we're in for the long haul then.
There is an aspect though, if you already know that hey, we were targeting a contribution, even if it's let's say it's in January, start the flow. At least then we're alerted. You can start getting slotted in. One of the things that people find, especially before an event, is all the presentation slots will be taken, so you can't get through anyway.
Right, okay. So is that then suggests that we're better off submitting something through the OCP contribution hub kind of now, um, even though it's not fully finalized, just to get in the queue, as it were?
What I would advocate, yeah, and this is a process that I would like to see, and we really haven't formalized, but the tool allows us to do this. In effect, what I advocate is as soon as you identify a contribution and a timeline, I want to see that quote unquote in our system. And the only way to put it in our system right now is the contribution hub. So you'd actually file, and we can have a conversation of, I want to file, my target is this date, right? And then we can back you up and say, well, if your date is to get through with your release by, end of March, here's the dates you should work towards. And that can be a conversation actually in the tool. And you wouldn't actually submit anything until you get to those dates. We don't want you to submit something that is too early, right? Not the quality you expect. But within the tool, we can communicate all this.
Right. Okay. So I can kick off the contributions and submission, but give a future date for when we're actually going to finish. But it just gives everyone a heads up in OCP.
Absolutely. And if you let me prattle on for another 60 seconds, what I'm trying to work towards is a system to where every project, sub-project workstream kind of gives us this view. And then the tools, right, will actually map everything, populate, give us indicators. I've already started some JSON coding, or doing a JSON format so I can do some coding to start extracting some of this to kind of display what we have. A lot of information we're not using, and with a little bit of tweak of what we get from projects and sub-projects and work streams, we can really make this fruitful and display this entire workflow to the world. A little bit of aspirational there.
Okay, just kind of like you're kind of looking at a pipeline of contributions and what's upcoming, as well as just having a feed of new stuff.
Yeah, and one of the main goals from my perspective is to show our overlaps and adjacencies.
Right. That makes sense.
In that case, I guess we kick off the sort of the internal review, as it were, at the end of this week. Sounds like the way to go.
Yep.
The system. I mean, it sounds like it could be done and dusted and formalized in time for the EMEA OCP summit. Got a fair run at that. It's the end of April.
Yeah, I think that's realistic. Yep.
Yeah. So if it's going to take a couple of months to go through, then yeah.
That would have it in place far enough in advance that we're not sort of reliant on a rush to deliver in time for the summit, if you see what I mean. We had it in place and then just hyped it up a bit. Very good. So yeah, like I said, there are a few people who sort of have said they're up for reviewing, but I guess maybe the best bet would be to put a shout out on the groups.io sort of broadcasting to advertise that we're looking for reviews. And I guess determine as well whether we want to request comments or edits, if you see what I mean. It could get messy quite quickly if there's lots of editors as opposed to constructive commentary.
Yeah, if we keep it to just comments. I think Google Docs is pretty good at kind of collaboratively commenting on documents. You can have full chat chains in the comments. So if we have at least that discipline, then we're not going to be fighting over individual wordings, and then we can come back to it and finish it off based on the conversations in each comment.
Sounds reasonable. Is that something where with the because it's all on the Google Drive? Is it something where at a document level we could create a draft for review copy of the document and just have it so that it's got more? I'm not really familiar with Google Drive permission settings, whether it's at the drive level or whether you could have a document where you just said people have only got commenting um, permissions, if you see what I mean. Because I think at the moment there's quite a lot of people with the sort of the full set, and then rather than it being reliant on people reading their messages and remembering what the ask was or whatever, it would actually just directly limit them to commenting only.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah, if
investigate
you can
that.
set it up to do that, I think that makes a lot of sense because you're going to wind up with a little bit of chaos if everybody is actively editing the file in parallel. But taking comments and recommendations should be straightforward.
Well, I guess it has the benefit as well, Steve. Of once John Mark has added in material around the system level um, sort of digital twinning, um, I guess that could be the point at which we sort of create the copy for comment, and then just send a link round to that on the groups.io, specifically saying this is the document, request commenting access, it will be granted, and then leave your thoughts there, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do around that. I'm not sure. It'll either be having to share one direct from my Google Drive, or I'll figure something out if you can do it in the OCP shared drive. I'm not sure if you can limit files in a drive to only certain levels of contributor. It might also be just a case of changing everyone's membership in the drive to commenter briefly and enforcing it that way.
Mm.
But either way, if we're starting this process, then I'll send something out Thursday or Friday that kind of makes clear what's happening and is a clear request for comments from anyone.
Sounds good, man. I've not got any other new business to bring to the table myself. Don't know about anyone else, or if we want to do a sort of an intro round or anything like that.
I'm not going to anything either. I've just been trying to push the document over the line.
Hey everyone, I did want to just introduce myself pretty quickly. This is my first time joining the Digital Twin call, but my name is Emily Taylor. I'm Director of Technical Consultants with Ecolab. And so I was just taking a look through to understand more of the working groups and whatnot with OCP and see how I could get involved in some of them for what makes sense. So this is my first time joining, but I really enjoyed the discussion and hearing what you all have been working on. And so just thought I'd take a minute to introduce myself to the team.
Thanks, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Emily.
Yeah, you all as well.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce myself as well. I'm regional. I work for EBM Pabst. We have a digital twin solution ourselves that we use on the gray space area of the data center. Um, it's called Nexera, and it's part of our Neo solutions. Basically, what we intend to do is provide digital twins for the entire gray space system solution from the crack and crawl units up until the chillers and every component that is comprised in that system, from the heat exchangers, the pumps, the fans, the units themselves. But most of our digital twin is modeled to increase efficiency, um, to also um, basically show retrofits. If you want to replace certain components and parts in a system, then you could model that. And also we have different services that you would implement for like vibration analysis, filter clogging detection, demand control ventilation, depending on how many people are in the building and how much of the air you would need for that. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself because I do a little of the digital twin stuff as well within our company, and I just wanted to know if I could provide anything for the team and help with whatever you guys are doing because this is my first meeting as well. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. Thanks.
And I guess if you could, or if someone could share maybe the link to the paper that you guys are writing, I'd love to kind of read through that, just to familiarize myself with what you all have put together. That would be helpful, or at least the location that I can access that.
Yeah, we can share the details of the drive
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
into the chat.
Wonderful.
Oh, whilst here, Steve, I have seen that we can just change the sort of access permission, so we could put everyone onto commenting, I think. Yeah, we could put everyone on commenter temporarily, like you said. I think that might be the way to do it.
Yeah, hopefully stem the chaos a little bit.
Can but try. Failing to see the chat. I think that I've just shared for the current draft of the white paper.
The link opened. I did request access once I clicked on it.
Yeah, that's the right one. I think Matthew and I get an email to request information at some point.
I haven't seen your one come through yet, Emily. But maybe it's just in the ether and on its way.
Yeah, it might just be on its way.
Shame we've got no one from Google on here that we can needle about the slow transfer, but
I'm pretty sure it's done on a batch. Occasionally I check and I've got like 3 or 4 at once. Yeah. We can keep an eye out on it and hopefully relatively soon you'll get access. I don't know if it gives you any notification when you're granted access.
It does say that I'll get an email letting me know if it was approved or not, so I'm sure it'll come through at the appropriate time.
There we go then. So that's great.
cool. Any more for any more? Or shall we call it early on this one and take the time back? It sounds like we've got a route forward in terms of how to instigate the sort of review period. I guess from there we see how many comments we get and how much revision there is.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it won't be too much.
Sounds good.
And then we can start working on whatever's next for the group. We'll have to have a think about that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will do my best to deliver on time.
Oh, the suggestions welcome, John Mark. Definitely. It's worth getting in there. Cool. All right, should we call it there?
Yeah, let's call it. Thanks, everyone.
Nice one. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks for the introductions, Emily and Rudy.
Looking forward to future calls. Thank you all.
Thank you guys. Appreciate the call.
Bye for now. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.